I come to the next sutta, 4.20.196. On a certain occasion, the Exalted One was staying near Vesali in great wood at peak-roofed house. Now Salha the Lichavi and Abhaya the Lichavi came to visit the Exalted One, and on coming to him, saluted him and sat down at one side. So seated, Salha the Lichavi said this to the Exalted One: There are some recluses and Brahmins, Lord, who proclaim a twofold crossing of the flood, namely the way made by purity of morals and that made by self-mortification. What says the Exalted One about this, Lord? I do indeed say, Salha, that purity of morals is a factor of recluseship. Those recluses and Brahmins who uphold self-mortification, who make self-mortification essential, who remain clinging to self-mortification, they are incapable of crossing the flood. Moreover, Salha, those recluses and Brahmins who practice impurity of body, speech and mind, who live in impurity, they are incapable of knowledge and insight of the enlightenment that is unsurpassed. I'll just stop here for a moment. Here you see just now what I was saying about purity of body, speech and mind. The Buddha is saying here, if you have impurity of body, speech and mind, you are incapable of knowledge and insight of the enlightenment that is unsurpassed. Then the Buddha said, suppose a man, Salha, desirous of crossing a river, takes a sharp axe and enters the jungle. There he sees a mighty sal tree, straight up, crooked, and young, not of crooked growth. He cuts it down at the root. Having done so, he lops it at the top, and having lopped it at the top, clears off branches and twigs and makes it clean. Having done so, he chips it roughly with axes. Having chipped it with axes, he does so with knives. Having done that, he smooths it with a scraper. After that, he smooths it with a rock ball, and then brings it down to the river. What do you think, Salha? Is that man capable of crossing the river? Not so, Lord. What is the cause of that? Why, Lord, that sal tree log, though well worked outside, is not cleaned out inside. This is to be expected of it. The log will sink. The man comes to misfortune and destruction. Well, Salha, just in the same way, those recluses and Brahmins who uphold self-mortification, who make self-mortification essential, who cling to self-mortification, are incapable of crossing the flood. Moreover, Salha, those recluses and Brahmins who practice impurity of body, speech and mind, who live in impurity, they are incapable of knowledge and insight of the enlightenment which is unsurpassed. But on the other hand, those recluses and Brahmins who do not these things but live purely are capable of knowledge and insight of the enlightenment which is unsurpassed. I'll just stop here for a while. The Buddha is giving an example about a man trying to make a boat out of a log, but he carves the outside of the tree. He doesn't work on the inside of the tree. It doesn't carve the inside of the tree, carves on the outside. So similarly, self-mortification is working on the outside of the body, torturing the body, and that is not the spiritual path, not the Aryan path. But purity of body, speech and mind is purity of the three karmas, and that is purity of intention, because karma is intention. So purity of intention is purity of mind, so that is connected with the spiritual path. Then the Buddha said, but suppose a man, Salha, desirous of crossing a river, takes a sharp axe and enters the jungle. There he sees a mighty sal tree trunk, etc. And after chipping it with knives, he takes a chisel and cleans out the inside till it is thoroughly hollowed out. Then he takes a scraper and scrapes it and smooths it with a rock ball. When he has done this, he makes a boat of it, fastens on oars and rudder, and finally brings down the boat to the river. What do you think, Salha? Is that man capable of crossing the river? Yes, he is, Lord. What is the cause of that? Why, Lord, that sal tree log is well worked outside and thoroughly cleaned out inside, made into a boat and fitted with oars and rudder. This is to be expected of it. The boat will not sink and the man will reach the shore in safety. Well, Salha, just in the same way, those recluses and Brahmins who are not upholders of self-mortification, who live not clinging to self-mortification, are capable of crossing the flood. And those recluses and Brahmins who practice utter purity in body, speech and mind, who live in utter purity, are capable of knowledge and insight, of the enlightenment which is unsurpassed. Stop here for a while. So here the Buddha is giving the simile of the man who works on the log, carves the inside of the log out, cleans it and makes it into a boat. Then he can cross to the other bank. So in the same way, working on the purity of body, speech and mind is working on the purity of our karmas, and that means purity of our intentions, purity of our mind, and that is the spiritual path. So the Buddha continued, just as Salha, a fighting man, because he knows many cunning feats of archery, is worthy of a Raja, is a possession of a Raja, is reckoned an asset to a Raja in 3 ways. What are the 3? He is a far shooter like lightning, a piercer of a huge object. Just as Salha, a fighting man, is a far shooter, even so is the Aryan disciple possessed of right concentration. The Aryan disciple Salha, who possesses right concentration, whatsoever object, be it past, future or present, personal or external to self, be it gross or subtle, mean or exalted, far or near, every object in short that he beholds, he looks upon it as it really is with right wisdom thus, this is not mine, this am I not. Not is this myself. Just as Salha, a fighting man, is a shooter like lightning, even so is the Aryan disciple possessed of right view. The Aryan disciple Salha, who possesses right view, understands it as it really is. This is dukkha, this is the arising of dukkha, this is the ending of dukkha, this is the practice going to the ending of dukkha. Just as Salha, a fighting man, is a piercer of a huge object, even so the Aryan disciple is possessed of right liberation. The Aryan disciple who possesses right liberation pierces through the huge mass of ignorance. That's the end of the sutta. Now this is one of the suttas where the Buddha uses the comparison of a fighting man to an Aryan disciple. And in the first comparison, the Buddha said that just as a fighting man is a far shooter, even so is the Aryan disciple possessed of right concentration, because the Aryan disciple who possesses right concentration sees the 5 khandhas, the 5 aggregates, or 5 grasp aggregates, namely body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness. He sees these 5 aggregates as not mine, not I, not myself. In other words, these five aggregates are 5 things that all beings associate with the self. They take these 5 things to be the self, or to be a possession of the self, or now the person who possesses right concentration is able to see things as they really are, that these 5 aggregates are not self, not mine, not I, not myself. And so this shows the importance of right concentration, because only one with right concentration can see things as they really are. Now, right concentration in the Buddha's teachings, in the suttas, is always defined as the 4 jhanas, or one-pointedness of mind. Now, one-pointedness of mind is explained very clearly in Sutta, in the Anguttara Nikaya, Sutta number 35.206, where the Buddha used the simile of 6 animals. And these 6 animals, when they are tied together, the 6 animals are trying to take off in 6 different directions, so that at any one time, whichever one is strongest will pull the others. And when it becomes tired, and then another moment, whichever one is strongest will pull, and the other 5 will have to follow him. So this is supposed to be the everyday mind, because our our six senses. There are six objects which impinge on our six senses, on our six sense doors, and whichever one is strongest will pull our attention. And then the Buddha said, that is not the way to tame the six animals. The way to tame the six animals is to tie all the six animals around a stout pole, so that whichever direction they try to take off, they can only go round and round that pole, so that eventually they become tired and weary and they lie down tamed beside the pole. So in the same way, to tame the mind, we have to tie it to one stout pole, in other words, one object. And whenever it is pulled away in a different direction, we have to pull it back to that one object of meditation, so that eventually the mind becomes tamed and we attain one-pointedness of mind. Now, putting our attention on different objects from moment to moment is just mindfulness, being mindful of the six sense doors. And mindfulness is the seventh factor of the Aryan Eightfold Path. Mindfulness is sati, and that is contemplation, or putting our attention from object to object, different object to different object. Whereas a right concentration or perfect concentration is putting our attention on one object from moment to moment, always on one object, and that is the way to get one-pointedness of mind. So mindfulness and perfect concentration are different factors of the Aryan Eightfold Path, the seventh and the eighth factor, and they should not be confused. They are not the same. And this is very important that we bear this in mind, because some people confuse right concentration with mindfulness. They think that concentration is putting our attention from object to different object from moment to moment. But this is clearly not so, as explained in the Anguttara Nikaya 35.206. Now the second comparison is just like the fighting man is a shooter like lightning, even so is the Aryan disciple possessed of right view, because the Aryan the disciple who possesses right view understands as it really is the four Aryan truths about dukkha, ill or suffering. And so you can see that the person with right view who understands the four Aryan truths is an Arya. Right view is equivalent to being an Arya. And according to Anguttara Nikaya 2.11.9, there are only two conditions for attaining right view, namely listening to the teachings and having proper attention, yoniso manasikara. So from here you can see that the way to attain right view and hence stream entry is by listening to the suttas with proper attention. And there's another sutta which confirms this, namely Anguttara Nikaya 46.4.8, where the Buddha said that when a person listens to the suttas or Dhamma with proper attention, at that moment the five hindrances exist not, and the seven bojjhanga, factors of enlightenment, go to completion. Now these two things, the five hindrances not existing at that moment and the seven bojjhanga being completed, are the conditions for attaining Aryahood. So, which means that listening to the suttas with proper attention is the way to attain stream entry. Again, in Anguttara Nikaya 3.85, the Buddha said the Sotapanna and the Sakadagami have perfect sila. There is no mention of concentration, which is necessary for the Anagami and the Arahant. So again, you see that concentration is not necessary for Sotapanna. And then in Anguttara Nikaya 55.1.2, the Sotapanna has confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and he possesses pure sila or pure moral conduct. These are the characteristics of a stream enterer, Sotapanna. Then finally we see that in the suttas and Vinaya, the persons who attain stream entry always seem to do so when they listen to the suttas, just as we have them today, just as we listen to them today. And whenever the Buddha spoke the suttas, some people seem to attain stream entry, even though they had not meditated before, even though they had not listened to the Dhamma even before. And the Buddha called his disciples savakkas. Savakka is a Pali word which means hearers or listeners, and that all the disciples of the Buddha were listeners, hearers of his discourses, and this shows again the importance of hearing the discourses, because when his disciples listen to the discourses, they attain unshakable faith in the Buddha. They understood the suttas because they paid proper attention, and they had unshakable faith, and from there they practice further the meditations, etc., and they attain higher levels of Aryahood. So this all shows the importance of listening to the suttas as the very foundation in the spiritual path. And much learning is one of the factors, one of the important conditions in the spiritual path. So listening to the Buddha's discourses is very much to be encouraged. Now we come to Sutta number 4.20.197. On a certain occasion, the Exalted One was staying near Savatthi at Jeta Grove in Anathapindika's spa. Now Mallika the queen came to visit the Exalted One, and on coming to him saluted the Exalted One and sat down at one side. As she sat thus, Mallika the queen said this to the Exalted One: "Pray, Lord, what is the reason, what is the cause, why in this world some women folk are ill-favored, deformed, of a mean appearance, and are poor, having little of their own, of small possessions, and are of small account?" I'll stop here for a while just to comment. Queen Mallika is asking why some women are born with three characteristics. The first one is they are ugly. The second one, they are very poor. The third one, they are insignificant. That means they have no name, not well known. And she asked again, "Lord, pray, what is the reason, what is the cause, why in this world some women folk are ill-favored, deformed, of a mean appearance, but yet wealthy, of great riches, of great possessions, and of great account? Again, Lord, pray, what is the reason, what is the cause, why in this world some women folk are well-favored, well-formed, lovely to look upon, amiable, possessed of the greatest beauty of complexion, and yet are poor, having little of their own, of small possessions, and are of small account? And yet again, Lord, pray, what is the reason, what is the cause, why in this world some women folk are well-favored, well-formed, lovely to look upon, amiable, possessed of the greatest beauty of complexion, and are moreover wealthy, of great riches, of great possessions, and of great account?" I stop here again just to comment. Here she is asking the different conditions. The first one she said was ugly, poor, and insignificant. Then the second case, ugly but wealthy and well known. And the third case, beautiful but poor and insignificant. Then the last one, women beautiful, wealthy, and of great account, well known. And then the Buddha answered, in this case, Mallika, a certain woman is ill-tempered, of a very irritable nature. On very little provocation, she becomes cross and agitated. She is upset and becomes stubborn. She shows temper and ill will and displeasure. She is no giver of charity to recluse or Brahmin, nor gives food, drink, clothing, vehicle, flower, scent, ointment, bed, lodging, or light. Moreover, she is jealous-minded. She is jealous of other folks' gain, of the honor, respect, reverence, homage, and worship paid to them. She is revengeful and harbors a grudge. Such a one, if deceasing from that life, she comes back to this state of things. Wherever she is reborn, is ill-favored, ill-formed, of a mean appearance, and poor, having little of her own, of small possessions, and is of small account. Stop here for a moment to explain. Here the Buddha is giving the reason why a woman is firstly ugly. And the reason a woman is ugly, the Buddha says, is because she's got a bad temper, very irritable, very easily becomes upset and shows temper. And that's why she's born ugly. And then the second reason why she is poor is because she does not do charity. So she becomes poor. And then the third thing is why the woman is born insignificant, not well known, is because she is jealous and revengeful and harbors a grudge. So these are the causes. And again the Buddha said, herein again, Mallika, a certain woman is ill-tempered, of a very irritable nature. On very small provocation, she shows temper and ill will and displeasure. But she is a giver of charity to recluse and Brahmin. She gives bed, lodging, and light, etc. However, she is not jealous-minded. She is not jealous of other folks' gain, of the honor, respect, reverence, homage, and worship paid to them. She is not revengeful, nor does she harbor a grudge. Such a one, if on deceasing from that life, she comes back to this state of things, wherever she is reborn, is ill-favored, ill-formed, of a mean appearance, but she is wealthy, of great riches, of great possessions, and is of great account. Stop here again to comment. Here the Buddha is saying the reason why a woman is ugly is because she is bad-tempered, and she is rich because she is generous, charitable, and well-known because she is not jealous, she is big-hearted. So because of that, when she comes back to this state of things, that means when she comes back as a human being, so these are the conditions why she is ugly, rich, but well-known. Then again the Buddha said, herein again, Mallika, a certain woman is not ill-tempered, not of a very irritable nature. Even on great provocation she becomes not cross and agitated. She is not upset, does not become stubborn, does not show temper, ill will and displeasure. Yet she is no giver of charity to recluse and Brahmin, nor does she give bed, lodging and light, etc. But she is jealous-minded. She is jealous of other folks' gain, of the honor, respect, reverence, homage, and worship paid to them. She is revengeful and harbors a grudge. Such a one, if deceasing from that life, she comes back to this state of things. Wherever she is reborn, is well-favored, well-formed, lovely to look upon, amiable, possessed of the greatest beauty of complexion. But she is poor, having little of her own, of small possessions, and is of little account. Herein again, Mallika, a certain woman is neither ill-tempered nor of a very irritable nature. Even on great provocation she becomes not cross and agitated. She is not upset, does not become stubborn, does not show ill will and displeasure. Moreover, she is a giver of charity to recluse and Brahmin. She gives food, drink, clothing, vehicle, flowers, scent, ointment, bed, lodging, and light. She is not jealous-minded. She is not jealous of other folks' gain, of the honor, respect, reverence, homage, and worship paid to them. She is not revengeful, nor does she harbor a grudge. Such a one, deceasing from that life and coming back to this state of things, wherever she is born, is well-favored, well-formed, lovely to look upon, amiable, possessed of the greatest beauty of complexion. She is wealthy, of great riches, of great possessions, and is of great account. Now, Malika, these are the reasons and causes why a certain woman is ill-favored, of mean appearance and poor, and of small account. Then, ill-favored, of mean appearance but wealthy, of great account. Then, well-favored, beautiful but poor, and of small account. Then, well-favored, beautiful, wealthy, and of great account. At these words, Queen Malika said this to the Exalted One. Suppose, Lord, that I, in another birth, was ill-tempered, of a very irritable nature, becoming cross and agitated, even on slight provocation, that I became upset thereat and stubborn, showed ill will and displeasure. That same I might now be ill-favored, ill-formed, and of mean appearance. Suppose, Lord, that in another birth I gave gifts of charity to recluse and Brahmin, bed, lodging, and light. That same I now might be wealthy, of great riches, of great possessions. Suppose, Lord, that in another birth I was not jealous-minded. I was not jealous of other folks' gain, nor of the honor, respect, reverence, homage, and worship paid to them. I was not revengeful, nor did I harbor a grudge. That same I am now of great account. Now again, Lord, in this Raja's family, there are maids of the nobles, maids of the Brahmins, and of the householders too. Over them I hold supremacy. Lord, from this day forth I will indeed become good-tempered, not irritable. Even on great provocation I will not become upset nor stubborn. I will not show ill will nor displeasure. I will give to recluse and Brahmin food and drink, bed and lodging and light. I will not become jealous-minded. I will not be jealous of other folks' gain, nor of the honor, respect, reverence, homage, and worship paid to them. I will not be revengeful, nor will I harbor a grudge. It is wonderful, Lord. It is marvelous, Lord. Lord, may the Exalted One accept me as a lay disciple from this day forth, so long as life may last, as one who has gone to Him for refuge. It's the end of the sutta. So you see, these are the conditions. If you are a woman and you want to be born beautiful, you must be good-tempered. If you want to be born rich, you must be generous, do a lot of charity. If you want to be well-known, like the Queen Malika, you must not be small-hearted, must not be jealous of others.